Welcome, everyone. Welcome to A Taste of Shabbat. We'll begin joining in this 500-year-old text, the beautiful poetry of Shalom Aleichem, and to a melody that is now about 110 years old. Let's join together. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu Nir Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedechem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. As you know, I always mute so I can sing along with you, but this time I actually unmuted on time. The Cantor's in the sanctuary. I'm at home, unfortunately, but hopefully we'll all be together very soon for Shabbat. We're going to begin with lighting the candles, but before we do, I want to remind people that yesterday, January 27th, was International Holocaust Remembrance Day. This was a day declared by the United Nations and it is celebrated or observed, I should say, by many countries. And it is in commemoration of the liberation of Auschwitz, the biggest and worst concentration camp of all of them. Cantor, do you know how many concentration camp and work camps there were during the war?
You know, I don't know the actual number.
40,000. 40,000.
Well, that's just incomprehensible, right?
Incomprehensible. So we're going to devote this week's Shabbat to the memory of our beloved Jews that we lost, and also in honor of the survivors. Please join me at home if you would like to light the candles.
We'll bring that light in all together and we join. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu להדליק נר של Shabbat.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
We continue now with our Kiddush.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratza banu v'shabbat kodsho v'ahava uvratzon inchilanu זיכרון למעשה בראשית, כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר יציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים בשבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. אמן.
L'chaim. And now if you have your challah, please take off the beautiful challah cover as we join the Cantor in the Motzi.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Amen. So I want to share with you and with you, Cantor, because I don't think you've ever heard this story. The first time I ever met a Holocaust survivor. I'm from an American-born family. My parents were born in America. Were yours, Cantor?
Both of my parents were the youngest of four, and both were born in America.
Yeah, so mine were born in Chicago. And if you know anything about Holocaust survivors, which I've learned since, that usually they mingle and they socialize or they spend time with each other. They don't really spend time with American Jews as much because they don't feel people can understand unless they've been through what they've been through. And when I was 27 years old, I wrote a children's play based on a short story by Shalom Aleichem. And the Henry Street Settlement House in the Lower East Side of New York decided to produce it. And they randomly assigned me a woman to direct my play who had directed other plays for them when we were the exact same age. And her name was also Susan. This Susan was from New York. I'm from Chicago. And her parents, she didn't tell me at first, but they were the first, they owned the first dairy restaurant in the Bronx. And after a few weeks of spending time together, she invited me over to their home for a home-cooked meal because I was from Chicago. I didn't get home-cooked Jewish food. And that's when she told me that her parents were Holocaust survivors. So I went to their house in the Bronx, and there was a lot of food, and they were very, very nice, but they were different than my parents, who were jokey and American, 40s beboppers in a way when they were growing up. Her father was very quiet, and her mother asked me a lot of questions about being Jewish and kept pushing a lot of food on me. And then they were showing me around the apartment, and I saw this photo of a beautiful blonde little girl around 6 years old. And this Susan is very dark hair, olive skin. I said, so who's this? And she said, well, this is my sister, who I never met. And then the story came out that her mother and father had each been married before, each had had children before, and that they had died. And then the mother told me the story of this little girl. She herself at the time was 25 years old. She had a 6-year-old little girl. She was living in Warsaw or some outskirts of Poland, Warsaw in Poland. And it was very dangerous. And so she decided to hide her little girl with a Polish couple. And she gave them all her money and said, take care of my little girl. This still breaks my heart. And the little girl said, Mommy, don't leave me. Don't leave me. And she said, I have to, because she wanted to save her daughter. So because she had no place to hide. 2 weeks later, or even less, a week later, the mother finds a hiding place and goes back to get her child. And it turned out that this couple had gotten drunk on the money and they had boasted, we have a Jewish baby. We have a Jewish child. And somebody told the Nazis, and they took away the little girl and killed her. And the mother, Susan's mother, started crying and saying, "It's my fault. It's my fault." And I said, "It's not your fault. It's not your fault." And this was the first time in my life that I didn't think of the Holocaust as 6 million dead Jews, but all these people living with these incredible stories, these stories of survival, of courage, of bravery, of fear, of trauma, and that how much we could learn from them. And at that time, nobody was talking about it. What's so sad to me is that we know many survivors have spent their lives telling their stories. And yet today, so many people are still ignorant, especially the young Americans. They don't know about the Holocaust. They don't know what Auschwitz is. They don't even know what happened. And that is how anti-Semitism grows again. I think it's incumbent on all of us to teach our children what happened, to talk to our neighbors and friends about what happened, to remember, because it's the forgetting that is the first step to it happening again. And I know this is not a cheerful Shabbat message, but I think an important one. I don't know how many Holocaust survivors or when you met your first ones, Don. But
I was a young kid, and I lived in this certain area of Cleveland Heights. There were about 8 streets that made up our little community. It was probably 99% Jews, post-World War II, baby boom families. And across the street from us, they were building a new house. And when that house was finished, it was an Orthodox Jewish family who moved in. And as I got to know them, their son was, I think, about a year older than me. I was probably 10 or 11. And, it was apparent that they were Orthodox Jews. I know the son went to the Hebrew Academy down at the end of the street. And as I got to know them, I knew that both of the parents were Holocaust survivors. And yes, I too, like you, Susan, I knew they were different. They were different. We were all Jews, but they were different.
Sad. There's a sadness.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is understandable.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have a song to close our Shabbat, Taste of Shabbat, that can connect us to this evening?
Oh, there are so many, but I think we need some wholeness. Some wholeness and some peace, and we wrap all those memories and all those people together with us, because we still have Shabbat, and we never have forgotten about Shabbat. Ose shalom bimromav, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Yase shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yase shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yase shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yase shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.